When posed the question, what is the relationship between schooling and the economy, the state, and local communities? Schools, economy, state, and communities are all tied together in one way or another, especially schools and the community that school is part of. After all, the community should be based on members who at one point in time were part of that school. And in turn, members of the school will grow up, graduate, and become members of that community. I live in a small rural community where we have the same public schools serving our children since the early 1960s. People in my community have a lot of pride in our school. They attend football, basketball, and baseball games just like they did when they attended school. They come not only to support their children and grandchildren, but continue to come even when those children and grandchildren have graduated because the school means something to them. It is important for the community to be involved as much as possible with their public school. At my school, we even have a communities and school coordinator who has an office in our building. Her job is to give students incentives to maintain good attendance, provide them with shoes and backpacks or any other items they may need to attend school comfortably if they cannot be provided by parents or guardians. She helps them with missing assignments and works with them and their parents to recommend counselors or programs to make it more probable for them to excel in school. We have only had her in our school for 2 years, and already we can see a significant difference in attendance for our students. In addition to this, our community sponsors a care closet in our school. It is full of donated clothing, toiletries, hair products, and quick but nutritious meals and snacks for our students. Students have access to this closet whenever they wish it, and we do our best to ensure that it is kept confidential and fully stocked. Our community's churches do so much to help our students, like organizing a free prom dress event annually, sponsoring athletes who need items that their parents cannot afford, and sponsoring team gatherings and dinners. All of these things benefits our students and the community. The community needs to feel involved with the children that will one day be a big part of that community. And it is important for our students to feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves. Many of our students have tough home lives and need a village. By ensuring the physical and emotional needs of our students are met to the best of our ability, we give them the tools to focus their attention on academics and become successful members of their community. Megan Flynn writes about the benefits of communities being involved in schools. She tells us these benefits are improved academic performance, increased communication and engagement, improved attitudes, and improved health. When looking at the social, cultural, and political aspects of the production of knowledge, it is important to keep in mind that we are all an accumulation of our experiences and how we deal with those experiences. In education, we use a lot of scaffolding and connecting information to prior knowledge. There is a reason this works. Our knowledge is constructed piece by piece like a puzzle connecting to things we have already learned. We can share our prior knowledge with those around us in the classroom, and this prior knowledge may then connect to their prior knowledge and in turn help them with their knowledge puzzle. I believe this may be where others believe that knowledge is transferred, and in a way it is. But I believe that at its core, we are not transferring knowledge. We are helping others connect to the content by sharing our prior knowledge and constructing their own knowledge. It is important to share our knowledge with others in and out of the classroom. Research suggests that students connect knowledge most effectively in active social classrooms where they negotiate understanding through interaction and varied approaches. This comes from Student Construction of Knowledge 2021. Working with their peers, discussing and debating a valuable tool to activate that prior knowledge is essential to how socialization helps with production and transmission of knowledge. Cultural and political aspects help with this construction as well. As I said before, we are made up of our experiences. As we are growing up, we tend to believe what our parents or whoever is raising us believe, at least until we are older and can form our own opinions. Our cultural and political views play a significant role in our prior knowledge. What we are exposed to will affect what we easily learn and what we have more difficulty connecting with. For example, I'm an avid reader, and reading is incredibly important to me. Because of this, both my daughters are incredible readers. I exposed them both to reading as soon as they were born. They were both reading small toddler-level books before they began pre-K. They both love to read, and it is something the three of us share now. This would work for cultural and political aspects as well. What are key approaches to school reform and transformation, and what end goals or purposes of education are served by these reforms? Some of the major school reforms today are attracting highly qualified teachers and merit pay based on standardized testing scores. While this all sounds like a terrific way of reforming education, it does come with some difficulties. As I have said a few times during this talk, I live in a small rural area. Most of the children my school serves are below the poverty line, and my county is one of the lowest paying counties in Virginia for teachers. Because of this, we do not have the opportunity of keeping teachers for very long. Often they move to different counties to seek out more pay and more resources. Most of the teachers we do have start on provisional licenses, like me. That does not mean we are not good teachers. I know that I personally put everything I have into my students, and that is true for most of the people that I work for. But at the end of the day, there are other fully licensed teachers that are more qualified, but do not want to work in my county. Then we come to merit pay, which is meant to be an incentive for teachers to perform well and ensure that their students perform well in state tests. If they do, that teacher gets a bonus. There is a lot of debate about merit pay. I can see that the intentions for merit pay are good, but there are a lot of factors that go into teaching and learning. Students cannot learn if their basic needs are not met. And often, I have students come to my class hungry, worried about finances, or dealing with trauma. How can we expect them to learn when all of this is going on? How can we be expected to make sure they pass a state test when they do not even have full bellies or a safe place to sleep at night? I do not see how merit pay I do not see how merit pay can really work, because we cannot truly determine how well the teacher performs daily and how much effort they put into their students. Stephen Malanga says, we don't have the reliable means to measure a teacher's classroom performance. The unions charge, so merit plans will inevitably result in supervisor bias and favoritism. 2001. Standardized testing is a hot topic for a lot of people in the field of education and is particularly a sore spot for me. I understand the importance of assessing what our students are learning, but often feel like I'm not teaching a class. Instead, I'm teaching them how to pass a test. There is so much pressure placed on teachers to make sure their students pass that SOL test at the end of the year. There is even more pressure placed on our students to pass that test. Not only are students worried about passing the test for themselves for graduation purposes or grades, but I have spoken to many students worried about their teachers being in trouble if they fail their tests, and have even heard rumors of teachers flat out crying in front of their students, begging them to please do their best on their SOLs so that they're not transferred or fired. It's not pretty, but it happens. The curriculum we are given at the beginning of the year and what we are supposed to follow as teachers even aligns perfectly with those SOL standards. There is no room for teaching critical thinking skills or how to solve real-world problems, because everything centers around the SOL test. When a student's knowledge cannot be measured accurately by one test, there are too many outside factors that can change the way that student performs on a test on any given day. Organizational culture of the school is based on a system of values and concepts shared by all of its members that determines their behavior and guides the school's activity. This is a quote from Tyrio 2022. What this means is that every school is run by people who then make rules. Those rules are enforced in the same way and with the same consequences when they are not followed. This is a lot like a culture in which certain things are deemed wrong and others right. There are ways things are expected to happen. Cultures just like there are in schools. Students are expected to be prepared for class, on time, respectful, engaged, socializing, playing sports, being involved, having school pride, and more. These things are ingrained into our students from the time they start kindergarten, much in the way certain morals are ingrained in children born to distinct cultures. Many parents, especially today, are making the decision to keep their child out of the organizational culture and instead creating their own through homeschooling. They understand that students are not only taught academics in traditional public classrooms, but so much more. So they decide instead to instruct their students at home, so they are taught no conflicting morals or cultural norms. Current trends in our educational system have been impacted by various historical, philosophical, and sociological events and theories. Throughout the last few hundred years, teachers have gone from being considered weak to becoming moral compasses for students. Our text tells us that in the 1800s, teachers were to save the western mining and cow towns from lawlessness and immortality. That's a quote directly from our text. Teachers were rushed to small towns after the Civil War to show equality for freed slaves. Also from our text. Now teachers are not only there to teach academics, but we are nurses, babysitters, tutors, a first step in social work, and expected to guide our students to a career. When asked what the role of the American teacher is, there are a multitude of answers to this one question depending on who you ask. The U.S. Department of Education tells us that teachers are the backbone of our democracy, fostering curiosity and creativity, building skillful individuals, and strengthening informed citizens. 2024. At our core, we are there to prepare our students for their adult lives. I know that I personally hope and pray that each one of my students graduate and go on to live fulfilled lives. How they obtain that fulfillment will change with each one of them, but at the end of the day, I just want them to be prepared for life. As teachers, we jump into a variety of roles throughout the day. We do not just educate them. We are peacekeepers, mediators, babysitters, parental figures, nurses, mentors, tutors, advocates, and confidants. Our students deal with so much on any given day, and we must guide them through those troubles, ensure they are fed and safe, and gain their attention before we can even begin to teach them what we are expected to teach them.